Today I'm going to be talking about something very quick and simple, but also a little bit of unknown knowledge for beginners, and that's navigating between different menus. You can see that in my current Blender layout I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different menus. So we've got the 3D viewport here, the timeline here, our properties menu here, and our outliner here on the top. Today we're not going to be focusing on what all these different menus do, as you're probably familiar with all the ones you need to for now if you've been following along with this series, but rather I'm going to show you how to change them and how to move them around. So to start simple, let's talk about moving them around. First of all, if I bring my mouse to in between some of these menus, a little arrow will appear. If I left click and hold, you can see I can pull my menus out like this to make them bigger or smaller. This will also work for menus here as well, so I could left click and drag to pull up my timeline. Also, if you want to temporarily zoom into one menu, you can hold down Control and then spacebar with your mouse in the menu, and you'll notice how it's now zoomed into just that menu. If you want to bring it back, all you need to do is come up to the top here where it says back to previous, left click it, and that'll take you back. You can of course do this in any menu, so I'll come to my timeline and press Control spacebar, and now you notice this is the complete focus of my Blender interface. I'll left click back to previous again. Next up, if we want to change a menu, we can left click this button in the very top left hand corner of each menu. So notice how the timeline has a little clock, 3D viewport has like a sphere in a 3D space, outliner has like a list of boxes, and properties menu has these parameter symbols here. So let's go to the very top of the 3D viewport, and here I can left click it, and you can see I could even change it to a timeline, for example, or I could change it to shader editor, which is how we make materials in Blender, or I could change it to a 3D viewport again. Now bring it back to default. So definitely have a play around with that to get familiar with it. But what if I want to get rid of a certain menu? Unfortunately, if I drag this down, you'll notice it's only going to make that menu really small. So instead what we can do is, if you come to the corner of a menu, you'll notice a little cross will appear. And this cross will allow us to override other menus in Blender. So I can bring my cross to here, for example, in the 3D viewport. And if I left click and drag, you'll notice that this will allow me to overwrite this menu. So I'll bring it down like this, and now you can see that my timeline is gone. I could also do the same with the properties menu, for example. I could left click and hold here, and if I drag it up, I can override my outliner here too. And if I wanted to just have the properties menu, I could left click up here and hold, and then move it along to here. And if I wanted to change this back to a 3D viewport, as you know, you just come up to the top left hand corner, click this button, and change it to the menu you want. So in our case, 3D viewport. And yeah, that just about covers it. I thought I'd quickly go over that quick but also very important bit of knowledge to know for navigating menus in Blender. And you're bound to encounter some kind of issue where you get stuck and you don't know what to do with the menus, so it's important to cover it on early in your Blender journey. If you want to follow along with this series where we're learning Blender for absolute beginners, and I'll teach you important things you need to know and take you to the point where you can 3D model comfortably, make sure to check out the playlist here. Apart from that though, I'd like to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.